So hello, welcome again everyone. This is My Genetic Nutrition's Making of Health show on reverse diabetes. This is a program where we discuss several success stories of everyone who has done the KIIC diabetes program. And today we have a very good friend of mine, my schoolmate Amol Kumta with us, and he has been with us for the past three or 4 months, and he has successfully reversed his diabetes. So hey Amol, how are you?
Yeah, great, man. Doing good, free of all the tablets. So feeling wonderful.
Excellent, excellent. I'm so happy that you have been able to reverse your diabetes with the KIIC diabetes program. Can you tell us something about yourself? Which year were you detected with diabetes, and how did you come to know about your diabetes?
Okay, I got detected with diabetes around the year, I think 2012 or something. That was around 8 years back. And looking at the age, I was just 37 or 38 at that time. So everyone felt in my family it's too young age to be having a diabetes. Now, how we came to know about it was I used to get bleeding in the nose when I used to wake up in the morning, or
Oh,
sometimes it
strange.
used to be, yeah, and it used to be infrequent, not something which is regular in day in and day out, but it used to be happening, let's say, once in a month. Then the frequency increased to twice in a month. Then a stage came where it happened once in a week. So,
Uh-huh.
and the flow would be just like you are opening the tap of a, water tap.
Oh wow, that must
So,
have felt
yeah, that
dangerous.
much. So, yeah, so you used to have this sniffing of onion so that the blood gets clotted and then it stops. So that was the only thing,
And
or
you were in
putting the
Muscat,
ice.
Muscat that time.
Yeah, I was in Muscat. I was in Muscat. I'm in Muscat since 2004.
Right.
So it was a very strange occurrence, which I thought I blamed the climatic condition of Muscat, because it can be really, really very hot at 40, 42 degrees centigrades. But since you are always insulated from that heat, you are either in the office or in the home where you are always the AC switched on. So I thought that should not be the case. So I went to our company has their own polyclinic. So I went to our clinic, and they decided to do few tests because there was no reason why it should happen. There was no injury, there was no history. So then they decided to do for a certain test. So basically, the test was they were more concentrating on BP and diabetes. So next day I went fasting, and they did the test. Then that glucose water, and after 2 hours or 1 hour, what they do. So they found that the sugar readings were really very high, and I was not able to break this sugar. So then they tested my urine. They also saw the traces of sugar in it. So they started with one metformin in a day in the morning session, and then they again called me in 1 or 2 weeks, and they tested my fasting sugar, which
Right.
again was at a higher side. So they increased the dosage to 2. Again, they thought that the post food was not coming within the range. Then it was uh, increased to 3.
Right.
It went on. In certain months, HbA1c was normal. In certain months, HbA1c was higher. But no, there was no explanation what the reason for that.
It was fluctuating
Because
basically.
it was fluctuating. And normally, as you would have in any family, you always have the food, the same thing which you have. Just little bit of changes, but you don't have drastic changes. So why should HbA1c fluctuate so much?
Right.
So then they introduced Galvus in this. So this went on, this trial and error method that we do in actual life. It went on for certain period of time till I met you, and then we
Right. So,
talked
I
for
mean,
some.
if we have to just assess how many years it has been last 8 years that you have been suffering from diabetes, and you started taking medications. But did that stop the bleeding that you had in the nose?
Yeah, surprisingly that stopped because I was on BP as well as sugar medication. So I believe either it was BP that was having, because my BP must have been rising too high, and maybe the blood was looking at the outlet.
This is very
I'm
interesting.
not sure.
This is very interesting, Amol, because blood pressure, that's hypertension, and diabetes, they actually are part of the same group of diseases, and that comes under the umbrella called metabolic syndrome. And under the umbrella called metabolic syndrome, it is hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, non-alcoholic fatty liver,
Mhm.
gout, in women PCOS. So all these diseases, this cluster of diseases, they come under the same umbrella called metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome is basically the root cause of metabolic syndrome is high carbohydrate intake. And when I say high carbohydrate intake, it's all kinds of carbohydrate. That's all grains, rice, wheat, any grain you take, fruits, plain sugar, dates, honey. You can name any sugar, and that is the core root cause, the core reason or the root cause for metabolic syndrome. And depending on the genetic tendency of that person, a particular disease might or a particular symptom might start coming first. So in your case, probably hypertension and diabetes started coming together. In certain people, it's the fatty liver which comes out first. In certain people, it is the gout that comes out first. And some people get detected with the heart disease risk with increased cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. And hyperlipidemia is also a part of the metabolic syndrome. So this is very interesting. I'll come back to this again later in this talk. And I also want to go back to the time when we were actually chatting on our school group. But before I start this talk, I'm going to take 5 minutes away from you, Amol, and just talk about the disclaimer of this show, that I don't want anyone to take any decisions based on watching this show. So I'm just going to share the screen and my few slides over here. So just give me 5 minutes of yours, and I'll come back to you with your interesting success story so far about reversing diabetes. 2 minutes, Amol.
Yeah, sure.
So guys, this is My Genetics Nutrition, and KIIC Diabetes is a reverse diabetes program with My Genetic Nutrition. I'm the founder and owner of My Genetic Nutrition, and I am also the creator of KIIC Diabetes program. So the disclaimer for this show is that this program is no way a medical advice. This is a platform for sharing success stories in reversing various health conditions through food and nutrition only. So please take proper medical advice before following anything from this chat or talk show. The host or the participants are no way responsible for your own personal decision towards your health. So do not stop taking any medications without asking your doctor or your physician by just getting inspired by this show. This show is to spread information that diabetes is reversible, and this is one message we want to spread. And for reversing the diabetes, only food is enough. So correct eating, eating the right food, that is what is required. So if you join KIIC Diabetes program, we guide you through all the steps and we ensure that you are safe. This is the KIIC Diabetes program. It's a reverse diabetes program based on functional medicine. We have 100% results, and it's an evidence-based approach. So you get to know how exactly you're progressing in each and every phase of the program. So what we can do for you is we can get your risk assessment done today, and that's absolutely free. So you can get in touch with us on mygeneticnutrition@gmail.com, and we will help you assess your risk in your diabetes or other health conditions. This is me over here, the functional medicine coach of My Genetic Nutrition. I look after obesity, diabetes, and fitness. Our mission through KIIC Diabetes program and My Genetic Nutrition is only spreading one message, that is type 2 diabetes is reversible. In India, we have a 1.4 billion population, and we believe that we have a billion possibilities and billion opportunities to spread this message of diabetes type 2, which is reversible and completely reversible by using food. This is Amol before and after. This is the amazing transformation of Amol. You can see on the left hand side of your screen Amol, and on the right hand side after doing KIIC diabetes program for about 3 months. He has lost about 10 kgs till now, and we can see a huge difference in him. Right, Amol?
Exactly.
There's a huge difference.
Big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, so a little brief introduction about Amol Kumta. Amol Kumta, he's a school friend of mine. He has been able to successfully reverse his diabetes with the KIIC diabetes program in about 3 months. He has been working in Muscat since 2004 as a business development manager for an engineering firm. And as a part of the job, he has to travel quite frequently, and eating out is quite natural. So not sometimes, but quite a lot of times, he faces a challenge of eating right. I hope that has been solved now. He got detected with diabetes, as he said earlier, in 2012, and now it is 2020. And in about 3 months, we have been able to reverse his diabetes. We'll come back to the details on how. During the time when he got detected with diabetes, he had a moderately sedentary lifestyle while he was doing some jogging and gym exercises. Every weekend, his lifestyle was kind of a socializing lifestyle in Muscat, and a lot of dining used to happen as a result of socializing. So he used to end up eating a lot of outside food. Once he got detected with diabetes, as Amol told us earlier, he was prescribed 500 mg of metformin twice a day. And then later, Galvus 50 mg was added because he was not getting enough results in reducing the sugar. Later, then Galvus was increased to 50 mg twice a day, along with metformin 500 mg twice a day. So the dosage kept on increasing to control his sugar, and that is what he has been following since the past 8 years, hoping to someday reverse his diabetes. But eating the kind of food he was eating and the medications, both the things were not helping him to reduce his blood sugar and get it back into normal, even after taking the medications, even after exercising. I know Amol is an avid runner, and he runs quite regularly. So he's not his lifestyle has changed quite a lot, but still he was not able to get his sugar back down into the normal range. So how metformin works? Metformin basically increases your insulin sensitivity. So whatever your food that you eat, carbohydrates, it gets better transported into your skeletal muscles and your liver. And Galvus works into a slightly different way. It blocks the breakdown of incretin hormone. Incretin hormone is something which is released to signal the pancreas to release insulin. And insulin hormone basically signals the cells to open the doors to receive the glucose which is there in your bloodstream. So by not letting the incretin hormone break down, the levels of incretin stay high in your blood, fooling the pancreas to release more and more insulin. And by increasing the insulin in your system, it's to a certain percentage, it pushes the glucose inside your skeletal muscles or your liver. And these are the ways that the medicines work. Amol at present is 45 years, and I'm sorry, I have put a statin over here. He's not on statin at all. So he was on metformin, and I think you were on blood pressure medications, right, Amol?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. His sugar before starting the KIIC diabetes program was fasting was 180, and after eating 2 hours was 220. Sugar after starting KIIC diabetes program for about 3 months, his fasting has come down to 73, and his post-eating sugar after 2 hours has come down to 85. Just please ignore the number 36 next to 85. His HbA1c used to be 8. Now we have not measured because of the lockdown what his HbA1c is at present, but we will get back to you with his latest figures soon. His weight before was 72. His present weight is 62. As a result, he has lost 10 kgs in 3 months only. So this has been the amazing success story of Amol Kumta so far. We're going to listen to more things from Amol. Before we go to that, I would just like to discuss these 4 pillars of KIIC diabetes program. We use food as medicine, and at the core of it is functional medicine. The 4 pillars are ketosis, intermittent fasting, investigations, that is the lab tests, and C is for commitment and care. And commitment comes from the participant. The entire success of the program depends on the commitment of the participant. So going back to Amol, I remember the conversation we were having on our school route, and you and Milind specifically would ask me questions, but you more specifically would ask me hundreds of questions regarding health, and you would always have certain doubts about how diabetes could be reversed and how food is important in it, and you had several questions. And finally, one day I decided to add you to the group, that is KIIC Diabetes Support Group. And I asked you to just observe over there what is happening over there, how people are reversing their diabetes, and let you take your decisions. Do you want to, can you tell us something about this episode, what happened between us?
Yeah, actually, when you had posted few messages on this reverse diabetes, I immediately got interested in it. I said, yeah, it's something which could be beneficial for me. But the thing I had the doubts was on the kind of foods that you were recommending to have. No wheat, no rice. I said, then there's nothing left for lunch and dinner. Then no milk. So I said, okay, there goes my tea or coffee. So, so these were the kind of questions, because this was the staple diet on which we have been having since birth. I mean, since the day we started eating.
Right.
So how do you survive, or how do you have that energy to go to the office, come back from the office, do the work, the daily routine course? So these were the kind of questions I always had in the mind. I knew from day one when I was detected by diabetes, there are a few things which you should avoid. That was sugar and maybe cakes, which is natural to avoid.
Right.
That's all. So I was continuing with, the wheat, rice, bread items, because no one told me bread has that amount of sugar in it.
Right.
And dates was supposed to be something natural, and in the Middle East, it's full of date.
Absolutely.
So I used to have dates regularly. And then fruits, of course, because we have been told the fruits are very good source of energy, vitamins, proteins, everything. So fruits was, apple was one of the things which I used to have. Pear was one of the things. So lot of fruits we used to have. So this was something which I always had this doubts that what you are saying is completely changing the entire concepts of which we have been brought up.
Exactly.
So
exactly opposite of what we have been brought up with, the knowledge. In fact, more than half of my own career, I have been prescribing wrong things to the people, because I have been brought up with the same concept, and I have been taught the same concept in the schools that I have attended for health and fitness. So, I mean, I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, and then you were also recommending to have lots of fats. Now, it was something which we were told to avoid as much as you can, because fats is not good for health, and many other stories about fats. So fats was something which you try to avoid, and you don't indulge in those fats. So these were some of the doubts which I had, and then thankfully you told me just come into the group and see and observe. And the thing I observed was the guys, how they go on for fasting of 8 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, 66 hours to 118 hours. I said, man, these are humans or what? I have never heard number of hours go into fasting in this kind of thing. So for me, even a 1 day fast was something I used to fast, but then those fastings were kind of things where you always have your dry fruit milkshakes, and you always had your fruits intake, and you had your sabudana khichdi and kind of things which are supposed to be had during your fast. So for me, fasting was that.
The food industry has been able to successfully penetrate into our belief systems. So if you see traditionally, fasting is pure no food. That means fasting. But the food industry is very smart. They own the research labs. They create news articles in media. And people, when they read that, when they see it on the TV, television, backed up by research which comes from very respected labs, but they don't know that these labs are sponsored by the same food industry.
Right.
And these articles and these informative videos are basically to mislead them. And at the end of the article, you have to just assess what is this article trying to tell me. A lot of these articles only ask you to eat, 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 and eat. And they create wrong belief systems about food that we are eating at present. They'll make all the unhealthy food, all the processed food look much more healthier than what natural food is. And that's the part of the wrong information that is present in the world today through different medias. And these institutions like the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, are extremely powerful, and they do not let the right information come out. And even if the right information comes out somehow, and today because we are so much open and we have so much access to information, the right information is available, but they ensure that they hide the right information with bombarding articles and videos with wrong information, which is backed up by these labs, these research centers, which are actually sponsored, founded, or owned by pharmaceutical companies and food processing companies. So this is the fact, and we have been influenced and educated in the wrong way through our education system about nutrition. And if you go dig little deeper into that, who is again responsible for creating the curriculum about nutrition? So if you go deeper, keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper, you come to understand that the same food industry, the same pharmaceutical companies are the hidden owners of the institutions who create the curriculum for nutrition in the nutrition colleges. So this is the fact which a lot of people don't know. Yeah, Amol, please carry on with your story.
Yeah, so when I was introduced in that group and I came to know about the readings of the guys, actually the sugar readings, I just had to, I posed a question to you actually, are these guys with medicines or without medicines? And you had replied that no one is taking any medicines, they are just on their own, they are using food as a medicine. So that's when I thought, let's dig deeper into it and let's see how this food can be used as a medicine. So that was the day when I stopped having certain food that you had been telling us that not to have, and instead switch over to fat-based and a protein-based diet. So which I have made those changes, and I have switched over to that food now. In that context also, I started experimenting on this intermittent fasting thing. So the first day when I started, I told you that I'm just trying to see how I can do that fast. So the first day I did it was I avoided lunch altogether. So instead of lunch, I had just a coffee with and rounded it up with a few spoons of coconut oil, the cold pressed coconut oil. And what I discovered was, or what I observed was, the time between 1 and 3 p.m. is the time when you have your lunch. So in that time, if you don't think of food, then you can easily carry on till your dinner time.
Absolutely.
Without trying to have anything in between. So
you got the success formula.
Realized. So I realized that you just try to see to it that those 2 hours when you have your lunch, normally when you have your lunch, just try to see to it, stick to it very patiently, of not having anything in that time, or have some hot water or hot coffee or a hot tea. So just to see that that time flies away of that 2 hours. And then you are there with the same amount of energy.
This is very important. That self-awareness is very important. And I'm glad that you could observe that about yourself.
So now it has become very easy for this 24-hour fast, and I do it very often. Within, I think, at least twice to 3 times in a day, in a week. Sorry. So I observe that 24-hour fast. I am still a long way to go with what the others in the groups are doing, 48 and 68 plus and all.
But your numbers are still beating them.
Yeah, maybe One thing I should mention here, that the kind of exercises that you had told me to do, I think that helps probably in a much better way.
It does, absolutely.
So
So
yeah,
what
so
Amol
that
is
also.
mentioning over here is that Amol used to run run long distance, that's 5 kilometers every alternate day or every day.
Yeah, 5 to 6 kilometers was almost every day, and once in a week or once in a fortnight, I used to run for 10 to 12 kilometers at
Right.
least.
So the only change that I suggested him that is that instead of doing long distance running, do sprints. Do sprints of 40 meters or 20 meters and do 20 sprints or 25 sprints. The whole intention of asking him to change the type of activity he was doing is to make him more insulin sensitive. So it has been well researched that high intensity interval training makes you more insulin sensitive. It makes your skeletal muscles store more glucose, and that's exactly what happened with Amol. Amol loves running, so just tweaking that activity a little bit also ensured that he continued doing the same activity, but in a little different with a little different approach. But that helped him reduce his sugar levels immensely because of the high intensity interval approach, which makes you more insulin sensitive. Amol, also you mentioned about the medication that you were taking for the 8 years. When I introduced you into the support group, you were still taking medications and you had not started doing the diet immediately. You were observing it. So, can you tell the viewers that how long did it take you to actually stop taking medications completely when you joined Kick Diabetes?
Okay, first of all was making the changes in the diet, which in fact, thanks to this group and the support group, they are highly supportive, each and everyone, and they keep on appreciating everyone's task, whatever everyone is doing. So when I changed this diet plan, I was still on the medication, but then when I realized that no one is taking medicines, so I thought, let's give it a try. So it was not that I went to the clinic and I asked my doctor that, okay, I went to the clinic. I told my doctor that now I've changed my diet. So I just want to try it out if I can stop galvus. So I didn't tell him that I'm going to stop entirely. I just told him I'm stopping the galvus. But then he gave me a chart. He told me that see to it that at every stage of pre-intake of food and post-intake of food, you take the readings. And if you observe any discrepancy, go back to your tablets. So even the doctor was kind of a supportive. He said, okay, go get off the galvas, but
Excellent.
get it off after you have started the diet for at least few days. Don't get off and then start the diet. That was his advice. So I started this diet, and within 2 weeks, I stopped galvus. But then I realized even metmorphin is something which shouldn't harm me if I stop it. So I stopped galvus plus metamorphin, and I kept on checking the and doing, and I have prepared an Excel chart where I put these readings in the chart
So
wherever
I'm
I
going to just
find the.
stop you here for a second, pause you for a second. Uh, I would like to tell the viewers that if you go on a ketogenic diet, if you go on a low carb diet, and if you are still taking diabetic medications, you need to reduce the dosage of the diabetic medications, because other than the insulin I'm talking about, even insulin for that matter, because what these drugs do, the diabetes drugs, that they either make you insulin sensitive or they stimulate the pancreas in certain ways to increase the insulin secretion, or they block the absorption of the glycogen in your intestines. And the last one is the insulin itself, which again is taken externally and which is pushing the sugar from your blood inside your system. So let's say, for example, you go on a keto diet, you go on a low carb diet, and you continue to take the diabetic medications, you can go into hypoglycemia. So what is hypoglycemia? Hypoglycemia is a state where your blood sugar becomes low, and then you need to take something which goes into your bloodstream fast, like plain sugar or glucose itself. So this is the situation which you don't want to reach, a hypoglycemic situation. So that's why If any diabetic tomorrow, without any supervision, decides to go on a low carb or a ketogenic diet, they have to ensure that they reduce the dosage of their existing medications, and they are supervised by the doctors. What we do in Kick Diabetes program is we monitor and we supervise the entire program, and we ensure that you are safe. We analyze it by doing a lot of lab tests. We analyze your risk factors, and only then we suggest you to either take or not to take medication or to reduce the dosage. We also work along with the doctors who believe in the same principles. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just around 2 weeks of the starting of this diet plan that I stopped the medication, but I ensured that I test my sugar at every level, at least on alternate days, if not on a daily basis.
Right.
And this started boosting my confidence more and more into this diet. So even I reached a stage where everyone, in Muscat we have this kind of a socializing and going out and partying and having in fact, right from breakfast to lunch or dinner, we have family groups. We go out and have this kind of stuff in the hotels. But I have become so sensitive now that I carry my own tiffin, or I order only salads. And
Excellent.
within that salads also, I see to it that I don't have much of tomatoes. I have cucumber and olives and that kind of stuff. So the earlier cravings which I used to have, I would not call cravings because I used to have anyway. But now even those cravings are not there because every time you have made this realization to yourself that this is the right food which you are going to have, because that is the way now you have been treating yourself, and this is your medicine. So rather than taking medicines, you take this food. So now that cravings are gone, and I'm happy for that because now I'm making the right choices of eating the right food.
Amazing, Amol. I'm so proud of you because you are actually a living example of the C in the Kick Diabetes program, and that is commitment. And you are actually putting in so much effort, and you have proved that how food is working as medicine for you. And you have quit taking medication, and you have taken food, which is the right food, which is which is medicine for anyone, not just for a diabetic. And I love the way you carry your own food because that is something I expect from everyone to do. And once you're on fasting, you don't even need to carry your own food, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a good part of it. And fasting is something now which is coming more naturally,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't make a big difference with a 24-hour fast. I used to think that maybe there would be a drop in energy level, there would be a drop in concentration level, would be a drop in, because in the office work, in the productivity, because going to office, I have to go through tenders which are as huge as thousands of pages. So you need some kind of dedication to sit through that tender, to read through it. So I thought that on a empty stomach, it may not be possible.
May not be possible, right?
Yeah, but it has acted in a reverse way. In fact, the drowsiness has gone totally,
Amazing.
because if you keep on reading the same things, especially if it's a commercial document, you immediately get the feeling of drowsiness. You want to head towards the coffee table, or you want to have a tea or a coffee or something like that. But with minimum food intake, or with the right food intake, I found that there's no drowsiness. Your concentration levels have increased, and you can carry on for a few more hours. You can put in additional hours now.
Amazing. This is a great observation again, Amol, because we have earlier also understood the reason why our brain starts functioning much better on this diet. This diet puts you into something called ketosis, and in ketosis, the ketones are released by your liver, and these ketones are actually a preferred source of fuel by your brain, by your heart, and by your tissues. So when your brain starts working on ketones, it starts functioning much better. Your memory capacity also improves. Your recollection power of what you read and see also improves. And in fact, a lot of people who experience depression also feel that they no more are depressed and they don't need any medication for depression. So these are some really, really important benefits or advantages of being in ketosis, and fasting is something where your body naturally starts getting into ketosis. So guys, if you're fasting, make sure you don't eat anything when you're fasting. Of course there's a structured program to go through it. Please do that. So Amol, coming back to you, what is that one thing that became like a domino effect in this entire journey? I am influenced by this book called The One Thing, and it speaks about the domino effect that we all have on in our lives. So for any success, the beginning of that successful journey starts somewhere. Can you pinpoint that one that first domino that happened in your life that led you to this success?
What I can say is I felt the activity levels reducing. Uh, I may not be able to pinpoint it was because of fluctuating sugar levels, but I believe that it was the main reason.
Let me change the question. At which point of time in your life you said, no, now I have to take this bold and courageous decision to reverse my diabetes?
Okay. Now, the decision came, I can say that with diabetes, I was having a belly. I would not say it was with or because of diabetes, but it was because of wrong food habits. And at a certain point point came in my life where I found it very embarrassing to wear t-shirts. So I thought I had to do something. And your program says reverse obesity, reverse diabetes. I'm not an obese guy, but I have a tummy, you can call it as a beer tummy or something like that, which came out because of wrong eating habits. So that was the thing which I said, okay, let's see how everyone has a flat tummy. Not everyone, many of the guys who have it, I used to envy them. So I said, wow, they have got such a flat tummy. They must be running and doing exercises, heavy gym and heavy weightliftings and kind of thing. But I found that they hardly do anything. Whereas here I am doing 5 kilometer jogs and 10 kilometer jogs, and I'm still finding that my tummy is bloating. So that I believe that was the main thing which drove me that no, let's alter something, because it's high time that I've just been running and exercising. Let's do something different, which could lead to. And the benefits of this is, of course, free of medication. So the driving point, I would say, was having a hefty belly in the middle of your body. And when looking at the mirror, I said, oh no, this has to go somehow. So
you want to basically transform yourself. So guys, there's a very important learning what Amol said just now, that he was doing a lot of physical activity, hoping that he would reduce his weight, he would change his physical appearance, and by doing everything, by running, by exercising, by eating right, by what he thought he was eating right, but nothing was helping him reduce his weight, neither his tummy. And he was doing everything whatever possible for himself, and he was getting envious about other people around him having flat stomach. And the important thing to learn from this is that this is the usual formula, common formula that is prescribed to people to reduce weight, that exercise more and eat less. And even if you eat, then you're still eating carbohydrates. And that by following this formula, actually what happens is your basic metabolic rate keeps on slowing down, because your body actually feels that now I was used to certain amount of food and I am now getting less amount of food. So I rather slow down the burning capacity of the calories myself. So even if you increase your activity at that time, your body says, hey, I need to store more energy because tomorrow you're going to make me run again. So over a period of time, your basic metabolic rate keeps on slowing down, and you end up putting on weight instead of losing weight. And every time you want to lose weight, you have to do that extra amount of effort into exercise, or extra amount of effort into changing the food, but nothing helps, and you end up becoming frustrated. And this is something what Amol actually said just now, but this is the science or the reason behind it, why your body doesn't change or lose weight in these circumstances. And also the reason for the body to accumulate fat around the belly is, yes, one of the reasons is that if you're going to drink beer quite often, it is called beer belly. But the kind of fat that accumulates around the stomach is called visceral fat, and that fat is basically not just on the below the skin, but it's also accumulated around the organs. And once this visceral fat increases in your system, once the organs start depositing fats, you become less insulin sensitive, you become more insulin resistant, and that becomes the very reason for you to become a diabetic. So Amol, what is that one message that you would like to give to the viewers from your experience so far with KIIC diabetes?
One thing I would like to share here is, or I'd like to advise the viewers here is, it's not that you always need medicines to come out of your diabetes or obesity or anything. Many things can be changed, and many things do change even without medicines. So as Rahul has told us so often, that it's the food that you should be using as a medicine. Food as a medicine is a fantastic concept which was never here before, because every time you go to a doctor, you actually end up having the medicines and the prescriptions with you, rather than telling you something which would be advantageous to you. So food as a medicine is something which has never, I don't know if it has been ever used earlier or tried earlier.
No,
But here in this
this is the
program,
old concept. In fact, Hippocrates had said thousands of years back that let food be thy medicine, and I mean, this is the same thing what he had said.
yeah, okay. And
Let
this
medicine
gives you,
be your food. So
yeah,
let food be your medicine, and let medicine be your food. So that is what Hippocrates has said years back. So it is not something new, but unfortunately, it has not been used for years.
exactly. Also, when you go to the doctors, there's not much of awareness created, because it just told that you take these medicines and everything would be all right for you. But it doesn't happen like that. Every medicine has some kind of side effects. The only thing that doesn't have a side effect is if you have a right kind of food with you. And with the diabetes, what you are always told that you should not have sugar. But there are many other things which are not sugar, but are harmful than sugar, or maybe as bad as sugar,
Absolutely.
which was never known to us. So this is something which changes your concept if you be a part of this program. And it's something of your life you lead which is free of medication. So
Amazing,
that's the one
amazing.
thing which is very good.
Amazing, lovely message, Amol. And there's another thing that we talk about in the KIIC Diabetes program, and that's very important part. C stands for commitment from the participant, and C also stands for care. And in that care, C for care, it has to come from the family and the friends around you. So, what was your strategy in creating that support system from your friends, from your family, to support you in this journey? How did you manage that? Did you have to do some special strategy for that, or everyone was just prepared to do whatever you said?
Uh, no, I would say it was easy from the family point of view, because when you say the bottom line is, see, I'm going to get rid of medicines, so everyone is ready to pitch in to help you out. Anyone who is there who says he wants to get rid of medicine, you are always there, even if you are a part of a family or not being a part of family. But if anyone comes to you to say and to inform that he wants to be getting rid of the medicines, you will always help him, right? So that was a good part of it. And even with the family friends, when we used to go out, they used to take care to see to it that I have my own stuff ready with me, or someone used to go out to buy cheese for me, so at least I can have cheese when they are having tea and snacks.
Amazing.
So these
Amazing.
were the small micro things which the friends helped me out with, and it was great support system from them. The commitment part comes when you really start seeing the difference for yourself. So it was not just my immediate family and friends, but in the office, My T-boy came I was in this program within the 4 weeks, and the T-boy would normally just serve the tea at your table and go around, or serve the tea in your cabin and move to the next. So he doesn't have time to look at you. So he said that, is something wrong with you, or is something happened to you? I said, what happened? No, you are looking very slim nowadays.
That's a good compliment.
So I told him, coming from a tea boy who hardly sees me, who just serves his tea and once in a day and goes out. So coming out from him, I felt, no, I think that's a real major difference now that everyone can see in me.
Everyone is noticing it.
Yeah. So
Amazing,
that was
amazing.
one thing. So the commitment then comes naturally when you start seeing the difference. And I think this program makes a difference in a very shortest period of time than any other program.
Amazing. And would you like to say anything else to the viewers that they should take away something to start their journey of reverse diabetes?
Well, I would say one thing that when you carry on this program, you can see a remarkable difference in your lifestyle. The one thing which I always had in my mind that I love reading, but because of lack of time, which is normal with every employed person, you don't get much time to read. I like to do meditation, but again, with the lack of time, you don't get time for that kind of thing to be done in your home. Now, what used to happen is with this, we have a very long lunch time. So I naturally, with the kind of food that I used to have, I used to sleep for 45 minutes or to 1 hour before going back to office. In the office, I used to just see when the time would be over so that I come back home, because there was no drive or energy left.
Right.
So with this program, what has happened is that that afternoon nap or that afternoon sleep has completely gone off, because you don't feel like sleeping now.
Right.
There's boundless amount of energy in your system now.
Amazing.
The second thing is you tend to get up between 5 and 5:30 every morning. At whatever time you go to bed, you tend to wake up at 5:30 max.
Recovery is
in the
much
morning. Recovery is much better. So you have the time, so you can just come out into your drawing room, just sit and think, do nothing, but just sit and think about the entire day. So that 10-15 minutes, you can really reflect on yourself. So that time was very important, I feel, for me. And that time now, which I get now, has been possible only because of this kind of food that I am having. It has totally changed the energy system in my body, where I expend my energy and where I preserve my energy now. The attitude towards the work has changed a lot. I'll now look forward to more documents coming in, more tenders coming in, more work to be done, because I feel that now there's a lot of time left. So one thing I could say that apart from reversing diabetes, apart from losing the fat in your system, it has given boundless energy and lot of time in your hand to carry on the day which you would have always thought that your day should be like this.
Amazing, amazing, Amol. I mean, a lot of learnings from Amol's journey so far. I'm sure viewers would be able to take more than 10 things out of this journey. The key thing over here in the last message that Amol told us that he has boundless energy right now because of the food that he's eating, the kind of food that he's eating, and that has changed a complete timetable of his life. He in fact has more time in hands. He has time for his hobbies or his passions, that is reading. He can focus better on his work, and even after doing everything, he still has more time left for doing extra things if he want to. And even when he sleeps, he can wake up early, whatever time he sleeps, so his recovery is better. So the energy production in his system has much improved. The repairing system in his system has much improved now. He can regenerate, repair, and rejuvenate very fast, and that happens because your mitochondria, they start getting the right energy from the kind of food that you're eating. And the moment you also lose weight, that's 10 kgs off your system with in Amol's case. So that also reduces a lot of stress on your organs, on your joints, on your heart, and that in turn gives you a lot of extra energy to do. So a lot of benefits of this diet. Amazing, Amol. We are so happy that you have been able to successfully reverse your diabetes. You are being able to successfully lose 10 kgs in spite of not planning for it. And today you have this boundless energy and so many other things that you experience, positive things that you're experiencing. We are so happy, and we only wish you all the best for your future journey on the KIIC Diabetes program, because we believe that this is just the beginning of the journey, because we are just into the 4th month of your plan, and you have already been successfully reversed your diabetes and no medication. That's the best part of it. Yeah. So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Amol, for joining with us today. And we will come back with Amol's episode 2 in his journey very soon with more information on what Amol is going through and how much Amol has helped. Uh, so see you again, Amol, and see you viewers again in our another success story of My Genetic Nutrition's Making of Health program based on KIIC Diabetes. See you guys. See you.